So now it's time for the fun part of this phone case modeling, is to add some features to the base element that we currently have. So we've got this block that's our cell phone case. We want to add some features. The features are totally up to you. The order that you do them in is important, but if you mess up the order, down on the timeline you can drag and change the order sometimes, or move the timeline back, make a change, and then drag it back forward. It takes a little bit of getting used to, but the magic all happens through the timeline. So to start off, I'll give you a couple of ideas. First, I want the bottom of this case to be rounded, so I'm going to add a fillet to this one. I'm going to select the bottom edge, and we give that we'll start with a 2 millimeter. See what that looks like. Maybe a little bit more. I'll do a 3 millimeter fillet on the bottom. Alright, that looks pretty good. I'm going to add a fillet to the top, but I'm going to do that later. That's important. Again, order of operations. So, fillet to the bottom. The next feature I'm going to add is called a shell. Modify shell. I'm going to shell the top of this thing out. So I'm going to click on the top, and I can drag this arrow in. I can see it's starting to shell out that case, and I want to shell it out so it just touches the iPhone. And I know what that distance is. I can try to eyeball it here by dragging this, but I know, have some confidence in my original model that certain thicknesses might be better than others. And I know, because of the way I made the model, this view will see it a little bit better, that 2 millimeters, based on my original sketch, is going to hug or touch the iPhone. If we leave tolerances, might be a good idea to do something like 1.75 millimeters. So there's a little bit of wiggle room, or 1.9. A little tiny bit of wiggle room might be good based on your tolerance, manufacturing. So I'll say OK. And now that iPhone is sitting in there in the case, and it looks pretty good. The problem is it might fall out. So I need to add another feature here, and I'm going to do a split face. So I'm going to do modify. I'm going to split the face. And the face I'm going to split is the inside of this case. So I'm going to click around here. And I'm going to select all those faces. And for the splitting tool, I'm going to select this. I'm going to select the top face of the iPhone. So I'm going to find it here. So right there, the top face of the iPhone. Click, and it's not really going to work until I check this box, extend the splitting, so those connect. And I'm going to split that face at the top of the iPhone. Say OK. And if I zoom in here, I see I've got a little line all the way around that now has split this. And that's pretty cool, because now I can do a press and pull. And I can go and I can select all around, which I couldn't do a moment ago. I'll turn off my origin, easier to see. Here, there. A couple more, and I think I've got everything selected now. And I get one of these handy blue arrows, and I can drag in. It's going to create the top edge that's going to hug that iPhone. So there it is. I can decide how much I want to hug it, grip onto that iPhone. I'm going to do 3.25 millimeters. And you might zoom around to make sure you're not covering too much to have that work for your iPhone. Say OK. And there it is. I've got a nice base to the case. So I can add more features, obviously some filleting. I could fill out these inside and outside edges. Round that off real nicely. And a couple of other really important features. I might want to create some holes so I can have the camera and the buttons work. I'll just show you one, but you can go around and use the same technique for all the others. First off, I have to find my case. Under bodies, I might double click this to give it a name. And I can right click, and there's something here I can do to change the opacity down to maybe 50%, so I can see through the case easily to the buttons and such beyond that. Now what I can do is I can create a sketch. I'm going to create a rectangle sketch for this case. I'm not going to use these work planes now. I'm going to click on the outside of the case. I can click on any flat surface. So I'll click on this guy. And I could create one opening per button, or maybe I could create a larger opening. I'll draw it around both of these buttons. Something like that. And if I want the edges to be rounded under my sketch, I have the fillet command. Click on the various lines and add some fillets. It's going to accept the default radius for now. Here and here and here and there. Alright, hopefully that's okay. I'm going to hit stop sketch. Now I've got this rectangle sketch right here on the surface of my case. If I want to see this more easily, I'm going to change the opacity just so you guys can see it better up to 100, and I'm going to turn off the iPhone. So there's the case. With this sketch, I can do a modify, press and pull, grab that sketch, and drag it all the way through to make sure it cuts, and say OK. Now I've got a nice opening for those buttons. I might come back and add another fillet around this edge here. I'll do 1 millimeter for now and say OK. Nice rounded opening, and I can turn back on the iPhone, and now I've got a nice window there to the buttons. Alright, now of course I can add an appearance and give this, I'll just give it a plastic material. Let's make it blue, that'll be fun. And I'll say close. A couple other features you'll want to add. Of course, I'm going to save this as I go along, new versions. It's great. We want to give it a hole for the camera in the back. Use the same feature. Create a sketch. Click on the back and sketch a rectangle for that. You want to create a logo also. So for the same thing, do a sketch not on one of these planes. Click on your phone and do whatever cool logo you want to do. I'm going to do, in this case, a lightning bolt. Blue is kind of a bad color. It's a little hard to see, but you can see I'm doing a lightning bolt here. That'll be my logo. I'm going to say stop sketch. And I can drag that all the way through if I want, or I can drag it part way through. I'll do press and pull. So I can drag it a little bit like it's engraved, or all the way through is going to cut it. Say OK, and now I've added a logo. And of course I can go back and add a fillet to that. And if I want to add a grip on this, I can do, again, another sketch. I can click on any surface here, and I can draw any shape I'd like to. If I want to add some grips, I'm just going to do a line here, and I'll do a line here. And to be quick, I'll hit stop sketch, and I can come back and create a pipe. Click on that line. You can see the default is to cut. I want to make a new body so it doesn't cut, and the section size is kind of ridiculous. I'm going to make this maybe 1 millimeter or 1.5, and I'll say OK. And I can also modify, and I can add a fillet on the ends of these, and maybe I'll do 0.75, so it completely rounds off those edges. And now, of course, I've got one grip on the back. I might want to add quite a few more so this guy doesn't slip around on the tabletop. And there we go, the iPhone case.